Chainsaw Man. It is one of the most popular manga series in the world. But did you know that the anime adaptation was actually hated in Japan? As someone from Japan, I was honestly shocked by how strong the backlash was online. For example, if you search Chainsaw Man anime reviews on YouTube in Japanese, you'll see tons of negative videos right at the top. And during the original broadcast, there was even a petition demanding a complete remake of the anime. I've seen my fair share of trash anime over the years, but this was the first time I ever saw a petition like that. Well, it seems like something similar happened again with a certain anime that aired just recently, but in that case, the criticism is completely justified. The animation quality is shockingly low. Some of the fight scenes honestly look like they were made in PowerPoint. But what about Chainsaw Man? Just look at this animation. It's absolutely stunning. The lighting, the camera angles, the fluid motion, this is top tier animation by any standard. So why did it get so much hate? One of the biggest reasons behind the backlash was him, Ryu Nakayama. He's a talented animator who worked on huge titles like Jujutsu Kaisen, Fate, and Sword Art Online. He's known in the industry for his dynamic visuals and attention to detail. But Chainsaw Man was his first time serving as a series director. So why did such a talented creator like Nakayama face so much criticism? The answer lies in his directing style. Let's take a look at one of his magazine interviews. In an interview, when asked what he paid the most attention to while adapting Chainsaw Man, he said, "I was particular about conveying the charm of Chainsaw Man and the atmosphere of the original work to the fullest extent. One way I tried to express that was by incorporating realistic and cinematic elements into the animation." He went on to say that Chainsaw Man's creator, Tatsuki Fujimoto, is a huge movie fan, and that many scenes in the manga were clearly influenced by specific shots and moments from movies. So Nakayama's idea was simple. If the manga already had cinematic DNA, why not bring that fully to life in the anime? He described his approach as finding a balance between reality and fantasy. Rather than just drawing characters, he wanted them to feel like real people, as if they were being filmed with a camera. That direction shows clearly in the anime's atmosphere. One perfect example of Nakayama's vision is Ake's morning routine. This scene wasn't in the manga. It was completely original, added just for the anime. We watch Aki wake up, brush his teeth, grind his coffee, tie his hair back, light a cigarette in silence, as there are no devils, no action, no dialogue. Just a quiet, beautifully animated look into a moment of his daily life. It feels more like a live-action film than an anime. The lighting is soft and natural, the sound design is subtle and intimate. This is exactly what Nakayama meant when he said he wanted the characters to feel like real people, not just drawings, but human beings living in a believable world. It gave us insight into Aki's personality, his discipline, his solitude, his quiet sadness. But for some fans of the manga, this scene felt unnecessary. They saw it as slow, indulgent, and out of place in a story known for its chaos and brutality. They didn't want realism. They wanted madness, chaos, shonen energy. And this reaction was especially strong among Japanese viewers. Many of them felt that the anime lacked the intensity and explosive emotion that defined the manga. In contrast, many Western fans embraced the anime's direction. They described it as artistic, mature, and deep. So why was the reaction so different between Japanese and overseas audiences? It comes down to cultural expectations. In Japan, many anime fans expect adaptations to stay faithful not just to the story, but also to the tone, the energy, and the spirit of the original manga. They want to feel the same adrenaline they felt when reading it. And when an adaptation strays too far from that, even for artistic reasons, it can feel like a betrayal. A great example of a manga adaptation that stays true to its source, especially from the perspective of Japanese fans, is Dandadan. The anime captures the wild humor, fast pacing, and high energy expressions that fans loved in the original. It doesn't just follow the plot, it mirrors the vibe, the attitude, and the chaotic charm of the manga. Now, you really see the contrast when you compare Dandadan's comedy to Chainsaw Man. In Dandadan, humor is loud and over the top. Characters stretch, scream, and move in impossible ways. It's classic anime comedy, expressive, fast, and chaotic. But in Chainsaw Man, the comedy is understated. Characters don't overreact, their expressions are subtle, movements are realistic, the timing is slower, more grounded. And while this didn't sit well with some Japanese fans, Western audiences loved it. For them, it wasn't just different, it was refreshing. A new kind of anime, one that pushed boundaries. This stylistic divide led to two totally different conversations around the same show. One side saw it as a bold new interpretation. The other saw it as a missed opportunity to capture the raw power of the source material. Neither side is entirely wrong. They were just watching the same show through very different lenses. Interestingly, during this same season, Chainsaw Man was airing, another anime was quietly building a massive fan base, Bocchi the Rock. At first, they had nothing in common. One was gritty, cinematic, and intense. The other, a quirky comedy about a shy girl in an indie rock band. But as both shows gained attention, fans started to notice something. The two series represented opposite philosophies about anime, and from there, comparisons began to spread, online, in interviews, even in Blu-ray sales charts. Part of what fueled the comparison was the radically different visions of their directors. In a magazine interview, the director of Bocchi the Rock said something that summed up his approach perfectly. He said, "To express the humor and emotional depth of the show, realism isn't everything. Instead, he leaned into what makes animation so powerful: exaggerated expressions, dynamic movement, and visual metaphors." Through that style, Bocchi the Rock captured the chaotic energy of adolescence in ways that only animation could achieve. These stylistic choices perfectly matched the tone of the story, amplifying both its humor and emotional depth. Now, here's where things took a turn for the controversial. In an interview, Nakayama made a statement that sparked quite a heated debate among Japanese anime fans. He said, "I don't want to make the so-called anime." He was referring to certain elements of anime culture that have become stereotypical, like the brightly colored hair of characters, green, pink, you name it. He went on to say that he didn't feel animation needed to rely on these fixed concepts or tropes to be successful. For Nakayama, anime as a medium wasn't just about the subcultures or cliches that some people associate with it. He believed that animation as an artistic expression could and should be something that anyone could watch and appreciate. This was his vision, to make anime that wasn't bound by the conventions of Akiba culture or the moe aesthetics that are often seen in the more niche parts of anime fandom. But that comment triggered an uproar. How could a director working on Chainsaw Man, an anime that is deeply rooted in the medium's tradition, be so dismissive of anime as a whole? Japanese anime fans accused him of hating anime itself. The irony was hard to ignore. Here was a director making a popular anime, and yet his words seemed to alienate the very people he was trying to engage. For many, Nakayama's statement felt like an attack on what they loved about anime. The colorful hair, the exaggerated personalities, the eccentric characters, all of these things have become iconic representations of anime's unique charm. But for Nakayama, it was clear. He wasn't disrespecting the genre. He just didn't want to be limited by its traditional forms. Nakayama isn't someone who dislikes anime. In fact, he's deeply passionate about the medium. What he was advocating for wasn't a rejection of anime's iconic visual language. It was about using the medium to explore new artistic possibilities. He wants to show that animation can be more than the genre conventions that have defined anime for years. When he says he doesn't want to make the so-called anime, what he really means is that he wants to challenge the idea that anime has to adhere to a certain set of established tropes or styles. For Nakayama, anime isn't a limited art form, it's a limitless one. It's a medium that can evoke intense emotions, create immersive worlds, and tell stories in ways that no other medium can. That's why when he pushed for a more cinematic, grounded style in Chainsaw Man, it wasn't about rejecting the anime form. It was about showing how anime could grow and reach new audiences by embracing different styles of storytelling. In the end, there's no single right way to make anime. Some fans crave explosive action and over-the-top emotion. Others seek subtlety, realism, or artistic experimentation. And both desires are valid. Anime is evolving, growing in every direction. The more we embrace different creative voices, the richer and more powerful this medium becomes. Whether it's chaos, comedy, or cinematic realism, there's room for all of it in anime. Every voice, every vision, every style has a place. In its diversity, anime becomes something greater than the sum of its parts. And really, that's the magic of anime. What did you think of the Chainsaw Man anime? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you soon. Bye.